Howdy folks, thank you for clicking on the video. Welcome to the channel. I sure am happy that you took the time to click on that thumbnail to watch this video, and I appreciate you stopping by. And I certainly would appreciate it if you'd go ahead and make sure you've clicked that subscribe button. Anyway, let's get right to it. It's the Paul Reed Smith PRS SE DGT. Now, admittedly, I've lusted after a DGT for a long time, way out of my price range. So when they released the SE version, oh man, I just had to have it. There's a lot to say about this guitar, so let's go ahead and find out about the specs first. Then we'll move along and get to some sound samples. I found one little problem. You're gonna have to wait. It's not big, it's tiny. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to the specs. All right, just in case you don't know what a DGT is, it's the David Grissom signature guitar. David Grissom, DG, the T is the tremolo. David Grissom tremolo, DGT. There you go. Got a mahogany, I keep wanting to say maple, mahogany body, maple cap. Probably, I feel pretty confident it's a veneer as far as the flame there. It looks really nice. I like that a lot, but I'm pretty sure it's a veneer. If I'm wrong about that, correct me in the comments. It kind of looks like there's binding. There's not. It's just natural maple there, and it looks really nice, kind of a faux binding. It actually looks pretty good. They did a good job on that. The neck, it's a set neck, it's mahogany as well. It's got what they call it's a McCarty shape or carve. A little chunkier, say, than maybe, let's see, right there, my Les Paul traditional. But it feels much the same as that. It's a very comfortable feel for me. The fretboard is rosewood. They don't say what species of rosewood. I'm sure it's not Brazilian rosewood, but it looks good, and that really is all that matters to me. I'm just glad it's not Palfero. Got the bird inlays on this finish. On the burst finish, you get the bird inlays. On the gold top finish, you get half moons, or not half moons, crescent moons on the gold top finish. So I guess that's how that works. You got 22 nickel silver frets. They're done well. The fret work on this guitar was fantastic. No fret sprout. Nice rounded fret ends. The frets themselves were nicely polished right out of the box. They all felt good. They're all level. No complaints whatsoever about the frets on this guitar. The nut, now that's pretty interesting. I've never heard of this before. The nut is a synthetic / bronze powder blend. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. I do know I've got a lot of nice things to say about this nut. We'll get into that more here in a little bit. There is one tiny issue with the nut, which again, I'll get into that here in just a little bit. So the tuners, I'm going to show the tuners over here. I just bought a GoPro. I'm testing it out. So let's see how this does. Those are the tuners. Nothing super special. They're not the locking tuners or anything. I think that's one of the areas where they were seeking to keep costs down, but they do a good job. I've had no issues whatsoever to the tuners. With the tuners. Let's talk about, to me, what is the most important thing, and that's the trim. That's the T and the DGT. And man, let me tell you, I don't even know how to put into words how much I like the trim system on this guitar. Just buttery smooth, and the guitar stays in tune. It just, you can get fairly aggressive. I mean, you're not dive bombing on this thing, and though it is a floating trim, it's not, you're not yanking way back or doing any of the crazy Floyd Rose stuff, but it stays in tune fantastically well, which says a lot, A, about the saddles, but it says a lot going back to the nut. It was cut extremely well. Just very impressive. Now, I suppose this is the place where I should point out what that one little issue. So I'm going to go back over here to the GoPro and see if I can't. I don't know how the lighting. If not, I'll get photos to demonstrate what I'm talking about. But the nut isn't wide enough. There's about a 0.5 millimeter on each side where it doesn't match up. Now, like I said, that's a tiny thing. But it is a build quality issue, or at least I consider it one when I'm looking at a guitar. You really want that nut to be flush up on both sides. So that is literally the only build quality issue I have found with this guitar. Now let me show you on the back here. I've got the covers off, and I wanted to be able to show you the trim system back there. 4 springs, and it's perfect. It came right out of the box, perfect. Occasionally I think to myself, maybe I'm gonna, back the screws off of that claw just a little bit and loosen it up. But no, I really like the way it came out of the box. Very controllable. It responds, and the tuning stability again is fantastic. Let's talk about the electronics. 2 volumes, one tone. Now, this is your bridge volume. This is your neck volume. I'm going to go ahead and show again. I'm going to show the control cavity back there, and you can see full-size alpha pots for the volume controls, a push-pull for the tone, and that's your coil split on the pickups. And we'll talk about those splits here in just a second. The switch feels really nice. There's just enough stiffness to it. It doesn't feel cheap. I don't know that it's a switchcraft. I don't know exactly what it is. I haven't pulled it out of here to look at it, but it feels nice and it works well. Let's talk about these pickups. Oh, I need to go back. I got to go back to the fretboard here for just a second, because I just realized I didn't tell you it is a 10-inch radius and a 25-inch scale. That just popped into my head. How could I have forgotten to tell you? Let's get back to where we were. The pickups. They're called DGT S. I suppose they are specific for the DGT model, but they sound good. The point I want to make is they sound really good. And let's go back to the coil split here, because kind of interesting. It's like a 70%, it might be 75% split. In other words, when you pull out on the knob, it doesn't completely take a whole coil out of each humbucker. It takes like 70 or 75, I forget the exact number, but it takes all but just a bit out of that coil. And there's a reason for it. I don't know, but they do sound good. There is a good quality split single coil sound out of this guitar. So again, everything so far about this guitar I've been really liking. It comes with a gig bag, a PRS gig bag, and they're decent gig bags. It comes with PRS Classics 10s through 46 strings on it. They're good. I haven't changed since I got the guitar. I haven't changed these strings, and they still sound pretty good. But yeah, so that's pretty much it about the guitar. Let's go ahead and get some sound samples. All right, let's go ahead and see what these pickups sound like. And just to get this out of the way, the pedal board. Using, for just a touch of reverb, I've got the Strymon Blue Sky, and for a little bit of compression and EQ, not much, the LPD CLE 304. And when I get to the dirt, I'll be using the LPD 68. So anyway, bridge position, clean tones. Coil split on the bridge. All right, neck position. And in the middle position. And with the coil split. All right, let's move along to the dirt. Coil split. In the neck position. And coil split. Messed that one up. You get the idea. All right, let's see. In the middle. And coil split. There you go. So when I ask you if this is the best guitar for under $1,000, well, that's pointless to ask, because it may be to me. I'm not sure that I've found another guitar in this price range under $1,000 that is this good. That's how I feel about this guitar, and there's a bunch of reasons for that, but that doesn't mean it's going to be true for you. So you know, when you see the title on the video, especially if I'm putting a title like that in the video, just understand all of this comes from my own perspective. But let me explain why I like this guitar so much, and I want to start with the trim system on it. I'm not really a guy who plays with the tremolo a lot. I don't dive and do all that wild crazy stuff. Occasionally I'll use a trim for accent, but that's not all that often. But when I do use one, I find myself a lot of times, if you go back to when I did the video on the Squier Affinity Strat, the HHS Strat, that was just terrible. It's so sloppy and wiggly in there. When you have a push-in kind of system like this, that's automatically going to make that better. You tighten up the Allen screw and it's in there nice and tight, and you don't have those problems. So I like that. But beyond that, that was my phone. I should have put it on silent. Sorry about that. But beyond that, just the way this tremolo was set up, I don't have the back off anymore. But it's perfect. I'm not going to screw with a thing on this because it's very responsive. I just like how it feels. It's very comfortable for me, and it's just probably the best tremolo system on any of the guitars that I have, and that's on top of my my SE. No, not SE. I'm sorry, S2 Custom 24. It's good. I like it a lot, but this just came out of the box, perfectly set up, exactly how I want it to be. I'm not going to change a thing with that. Also, the pickups. They sound good to me. No, it doesn't sound like I'm playing a Les Paul. It doesn't sound like a Les Paul. Close. There's a distinct difference. I've pulled my Les Paul off the wall there and played it alongside this, and there's definitely a distinct difference, but I do like the sound of the pickups. And I really like the coil split. It's good. It's a very good coil split. However they do it at 70-30, I don't understand all that stuff. It sounds good to me through a variety of amps that I've played it through. And yeah, what more could you want? The electronics are solid in it. It's a little bit of a rat's nest as far as the wiring in there, which is a little disappointing. I would have liked to have seen that been a little neater in there, but that's just how it goes. At some point, I'll probably go in there and clean that up and make it just a little bit more presentable. The tuners, they're acceptable. They're not great. I will at some point try to put some of the higher end PRS locking tuners on here, but I'm not going to complain. That keeps the price down. The other really important thing about this guitar is the frets. They're great. They came nicely polished. Well, okay, not perfect, but then again, they sit in a box for a while. They come over, on a ship. They're not going to be exactly like they're freshly polished, but they were in good shape. They weren't crunchy. The fret ends, perfect. There is not a single sharp fret end on this guitar. Nothing to complain about there. They are level. The guitar came set up pretty close to how I would set it up. Maybe a little lower action, but generally most new guitars are going to come with about a 2 millimeter at the 12th fret action. I like mine a little lower than that, about 1.5 in that area. So I'll do that to it, and that's just going to make it even better than I like it now. And I've been playing this guitar for a good while now, and I've gotten to know it, and I can't find a whole lot of fault with it, other than we'll go back to this old nut thing. I really wish it had been flush to the sides of the neck. It's a small thing. It's a nitpicky thing, but it shouldn't be that hard to be able to get a good fit, a good, nice, consistent, feel to that. So other than that, I really, really love this guitar. Is it the best guitar for me for under $1,000? I don't know. It might be, but it's not going to be in the next video. Give me just a second. Coming up, well, there will be this. Yep. Got a SE McCarty 594 coming up on the channel. Look forward to that. I like this one a lot too. So, yeah, never really thought of myself as a PRS kind of guy, at least not totally, but who knows? I may be becoming a PRS kind of guy. So with that, I just want to remind you, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you've clicked that bell so you get all the notifications. Please give me a thumbs up and comment, share, all the good stuff. And, well, hey, let's be good. Let's all just be good. Take care.